What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes Show. Today, we are brought to you, as always, by Oakley. Our friends at Oakley, when you wear them, there is more than meets the eye. Get a pair for yourself by going to Oakley.com and check out all of their amazing products. Today, we're going to be doing some eye test versus nerd test on Luis Severino, presented by Oakley, so stay tuned for that. Hello, Scott. You can't complain about a different us having the same background anymore.
No, it's a little different background. My computer completely fried out on me, and in mid-sentence when we were prepping for this, my MacBook decided to die. So I had to run across the office into the studio and got my guy Cowboy Reed to fire up the jets here on the Greenlight podcast studio. So here I am.
We're giving out some free promo behind you.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, Miller Lite.
we better get a cut of this.
Yeah. They're actually not a sponsor any longer on Greenlight right now too, so we needed to adjust that. It's just a cool. It's just a cool looking neon light.
It is. Anyway, what a wild ass 2-game series against the Mets. Just like anything and everything that could have happened, good and bad, happened.
Yeah, it was fun. Like obviously last night didn't go the way we wanted it to go. They were lucky to be in that game, to be honest. But at the same time, it's like it was fun baseball. Both those games were fun baseball. It felt like there was a lot of tension. There definitely was a playoff type atmosphere, I think, because you could there were a lot of Yankees fans in the crowd and there were a lot of obviously Mets fans in the crowd. So there was contention amongst the stands, which was, you could feel that over the broadcast, which was cool.
One of the coolest plays, I think, on a baseball diamond is stealing home. IKF stealing home. For sure. And what's
the first thing you think of when you think of someone stealing home? First thing you think of? Because there's two, I think, that most people will go to. What's the first thing you think of?
Jacoby Ellsbury doing it against the Yankees and Andy Pettitte on Sunday Night Baseball.
Okay, so 3 things that people will go to.
Jackie Robinson's
one.
Yes.
And the one that I always think of is Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
Okay, yeah.
In the Sandlot.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. So one of the reasons I think stealing home is such a cool play is because everybody in the stadium, whether you're rooting for no matter what team, stands up at the moment they see the guy breaking for home.
Yeah.
And half the fans are going to be elated. Half the fans are going to be pissed off if it's obviously split. And so like when they showed the different camera angle replays of IKF stealing home and you just see everyone rise at the same time because like, oh, it's happening. It's a really, really cool moment like that, robbing home runs, stuff like that. Just like,
the difference between robbing a home run and stealing home is exactly what you were just talking about. There's like a tension and a buildup in the moment.
It's that 2-second buildup.
Yeah, and the robbing the home run, like it happens in an instant. You're like, oh, it's gone, and then he catches it. It's like, oh, did he catch it? Did he not catch it? When someone's stealing home, you can see the whole play, and it's right in front of you. And when you're watching this, and I know this is killing Logan because it was IKF who did it, which is fantastic because he's a headsy ball player. He's a team guy. I hope he's a Yankee forever.
Gamer. Don't forget gamer.
Big time gamer. And he, the look on his face when he was about to do it too, when it was so intense. Like you could see the look in his face as he's knowing that he's about to steal home and just like the importance and the intensity of that moment. It was very cool. And the fact that there was a base hit on the next pitch or the same at bat and you would have scored anyway made me so happy. Because it hurts that much more. Obviously, they lost the game, but in that moment, it was a good kick in the balls to the Mets fans because the base hit just happened too.
Well, I think I guess when you're stealing home, sometimes you can get a read on a pitcher and then you're like, okay, next pitch, assuming he does the same thing, I'm going to do it. But as you could see in that, he was jumping. And he's like, oh, no one's paying attention to me. I guess I'll run home. Oh, crap. I'm actually running home. I better be safe. And if it was a good throw, it would have been a very close play.
Yeah. Well, and you know that the crowd, the fact, I don't know if he saw him out of the corner of his eye when he was going, but it certainly affected the way that the ball was thrown. Like that wasn't going to be a ball
because
anyway.
The pitcher is like, what's going on? Oh crap, he's running home, and he rushes his delivery and stuff.
He definitely rushed the delivery and then he airmailed it. So it was fun, man. That was a fun play. But the whole series was fun.
It was good.
It was a fun series. I thought it was like the energy throughout the whole thing. Yankees should have won yesterday. They shouldn't have even been in the game, but given their opportunities, the fact that they, what was it, 1 for 15 or 1 for
15 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position is not great.
It's like we talked about last episode, their inability to win 1-run games. They want to 1-run game on Tuesday, lost one on Wednesday. It's like you go 2 for 15 and you don't lose that game. It's like so many
It's a
scoring
little bit more
opportunities.
excusable when you're looking at when those runners were on base against Justin Verlander, as opposed to after Justin
Okay.
Verlander, because early on you're watching that game and it's a pitcher's duel. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
Cole's dealing, coming in, throwing first pitch strike, 99 miles per hour, dotting that four-seamer, and obviously that's he was very good, and Verlander was as well. So it's just overall fun.
So after Tuesday night's game, Boone, I've now do this thing where I hate watch Boone's press conferences.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Because I just am I'm so fascinated by the bull
You
crap
love
that
getting
comes
pissed
out of
off.
his mouth.
Yeah.
Because no matter what he says, I get pissed off.
Right.
So he was asked about the weirdness of Tuesday's games because the Yankees had some balks. There was a pitcher ejected on the Mets side for sticky stuff, and then Boone said, "Yeah, well, it's the start of summer, so just like Yankees Mets, start of summer, weird things happen." Like, what is the start of summer? Like, it's hot out, the humidity's getting to everyone, they can't concentrate, sweat's getting in their eyes, like everyone's partying, it's wild, oh my god, summer, let's get crazy.
They were down at the shore, like all these things happen because summer just started, so that then the energy is there and it's different. Wild things happen. Yeah, no, Boone's a moron, and that's why things like that are coming out of his mouth.
Do you remember
the ejection was crazy to me, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, but it was I hadn't seen that before with a guy that hadn't even thrown a pitch. It came in,
yeah,
and got ejected before the pitch was even thrown.
do we know, was he like was he on like a watch list or anything like that? Because I'm sure umpires have watch lists, right? Like, guys come in
a no-fly list.
Yeah, maybe they've checked. Yeah, you got to do the extra security pat down at TSA. But because maybe he has been identified in previous times as a guy whose hand is like borderline. So then when he comes in,
which is so ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous statement. His
But
hand is borderline. It's true. You're not wrong. I'm just saying it's a ridiculous statement.
I guarantee you the umpires are sharing this kind of, or MLB
for sure.
is gathering this information and sharing. They have a group chat.
There's an umpire group chat of like, oh, did you see this dickhead's hand? It was sticky. It was sticky. It was a little too sticky for my liking. Next time he comes out and you get that feeling, toss him.
So that's I'm guessing maybe could have been a reason why he was checked before he threw a pitch.
Yeah. I think they are checked. I think one, he gave himself up a little bit by trying to show him the glove and not take his hand out of the glove. That's a telltale sign right there. Like, that was stupid on his end. If you're guilty, don't act guilty.
He was yelling in the dugout, and Buck Showalter's disdain, like he was wearing his disdain on his face so much, and he was just like, I can't.
That's just what he looks like.
I know, but he was probably just like, shut the hell up, go in the clubhouse, get out of my face, you moron.
I got to say, when Buck trotted out for the play at second base for Nimmo, it makes me so happy watching Buck Showalter trot out to, like, with that little elevated. It's like a hen running in a chicken coop. It's like, he does his butt wiggles, and he's got like a little tiny motor behind him.
Somebody needs to make a montage of just like slightly older, slightly overweight managers doing a walk jog out to yell at umpires.
And the Buck Showalter one's great because he's just gonna come out there and out baseball you at some point. He's got something up his sleeve that they're not ready for, and I'm sure that they all prepare differently when he's in one of the dugouts because he's a savant.
The thing I was going to say about Boone is, do you remember the Michael Scott line from The Office where he's like, sometimes I start sentences and I just don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And I just keep talking and hope I find it. I feel like that's what Boone does sometimes in press conferences. He'll just start a sentence and then whatever happens.
That's like TV 101. I think when you're in a booth or you're on a broadcast desk, that's TV 101. You just gotta start the sentence, and where the hell it ends, nobody knows. That's definitely what A-Rod does.
Well, I have a couple of second guesses from Boone, which we're going to get into. But first, I want to tell you guys about AG1, which is so much more than a greens powder. It is all your key health products in one. There's a lot of health products out there, so it's difficult to know which one to choose, but AG1 is the most trusted product out there with over 7,000 5-star reviews. In my book, that is a great way, the number one way to gauge a product, because the people do not lie. AG1 is loaded with 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens. Scott, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Because you were supposed to do this read, but your computer crashed. So why do you like drinking AG1?
Why do I like drinking? Because it supports immune. It supports my gut health is what it does. And on a daily basis, it's very easy to do. It allows me to get all the nutrients that I need. And I preload, as I've mentioned many times here, I preload my bottle for my week. So I got 5 bottles lined up for the work week, and then on the weekends I usually do it myself. But I load them up, preloaded, out the door. I'm drinking AG1, and it tastes delicious, and I'm supporting my body at the exact same time as getting a good little boost in the morning.
To me, that's like the number one reason why I love it. It's the convenience. It's like you don't have to worry about going to find a dozen different vitamins. It's all in one scoop, and it's just super fast, super easy. And then when you factor in that you don't have to go buy all those vitamins, the fact that it's only $3 per serving is very affordable. So go to drinkag1.com/pinstripes. That's a new URL. They updated it. So drinkag1.com/pinstripes, and you get a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Thanks so much to AG1. And thank you guys for checking it out. All right. The Boone second guesses. I guess we can start on Wednesday night. And this might not have been a huge second guess in the moment in the 10th inning when Boone brings in Ramirez, left-handed pitcher, to face Nimmo, left-handed hitter, with a man on second, the ghost runner. Abreu was cruising at the time. He looked very, very good, but you're bringing in a lefty to face a lefty.
And he wasn't cruising. He was dominating. He wasn't cruising. He was dominating.
But it's Abreu. It's Ramirez. It's not like Logan made this point before we pressed record. You're not pulling Michael King or Clay Holmes
I get it.
for the moment. So you think, okay, they're doing a matchup thing here. It doesn't work out, and then you're like, maybe you should have just used your eyes in that sense. But I'm sure the nerds had some sort of matchup to tell you Ramirez was the better option there. Just a quick glance at Brandon Nimmo's baseball reference page will tell you he actually has reverse splits, and he's actually a better hitter against left-handed pitching than he is right-handed pitching. So yeah. I don't know what nerd stat you found to say that this was a good matchup. And then at that point, when it's not a good matchup and it's a coin flip, how about you just use your fucking eyes and leave the pitcher in that's pitching really well?
That's the thing. You said that Abreu is not one of the top 3 guys in the bullpen. You're not taking out Michael King, but guess what he did? He looked exactly like Michael King when he was out there. He looked like a really good Michael King. He dominated the first inning. I think he was at 20 pitches when he got pulled. So he was in good shape. He's gotten some length in the past. But yes, use your eyes. Like, did you see when they were pulling him out what Glaber was doing? Glaber was checking his pulse. He had his hand on his throat, checking his pulse, and yeah, because he knew how unbelievable, and he knew how unbelievable he was throwing in that moment. They all knew it, and they're going out there and taking that guy out. Like, you got your second baseman coming in and giving you a tell sign, like, this guy is like incredibly hot, and you got to ride him at that point. I understand it's Abreu, and I'm not one that's going to sit here and say you should run Abreu longer than you think, but when your eyes are telling you that a guy is on and he's throwing 99 mile an hour quote sinkers, 2-seam fastballs that are just lights out. I mean, they look like peak Clay Holmes two-seamer. This is what it looked like. Yeah. And late movement, like, he was absolutely nasty. He was throwing strikes. You keep him in the game at that point. I'm not bringing in Ramirez. I'm just not doing it. I'm staying with my eyes, and I'm staying with the guy who's throwing well, who's got plus stuff went on.
Yeah, Nick Ramirez is not Randy Johnson out of the bullpen.
Nick Ramirez is not Randy Johnson.
It's right. Like, so at that point, you have to use your eyes, and yeah, you have to use what maybe some of the players, some of the infielders behind him are telling you, like, this guy is untouchable right now. And you know what's cruel? Abreu gets the loss for that. It's like that ghost runner was technically recorded to him, so he gets the loss. Yeah.
Yet another reason. First of all, it's not a ghost runner. There's an actual person there, but yet another reason why that rule is stupid.
Yeah. Well, I just think Ramirez should take the L. Like, Abreu does not deserve that L.
Yeah, they need to update the way that the score. for that.
You got to track it to somebody, so I guess it's the pitcher of
track
record.
it to the asshole who gave up the hit.
Or the manager. Boone should get the L.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should
Brady
have
should, like,
actually, we should give, when it's like no player's fault, you should just give the L to the manager. And at the end of the year, just how many L's does the manager rack up?
Yeah. Well, it was a player's fault. At the end of the day, it was Ramirez's the base hit that he gave up pretty immediately. Oh, plug this guy in, have him throw a couple pitches, base hit, game over.
And the second guess came on Tuesday when Boone left Severino in the 5th inning with the tying run on second base after Severino had already given up 4 earned runs in the game through 4 2/3 innings or 4 1/3 innings. And he gave up the hit. He was already at 100 pitches. After the game, Boone said he thought Severino, quote, made progress, and he wanted to, quote, get him through the situation.
Okay, so I don't disagree with him in this instance. We've seen Severino time and time again start off very slow and then come back to dominate after giving up a whole bunch of runs, and get deeper into the game than you fully expect, because nobody expected him to be in the game at that point. I think with the early problems that he had. So I don't hate it, because I think he was throwing the ball much better in the last 2 innings. And when Severino finds that groove, then he becomes a different guy. So it looks bad because of the way that it happened immediately after he went out there, and then he comes back out and pulls him, and you could tell that he was trying to get him to the inning. But I don't hate it, because in that moment, who you're bringing in, I don't even know who came in for that. It was
I think it was Marinaccio.
Was it? I mean, it was the middle of the game, so you're not going to get in theory,
Monday
you're not
off.
getting a top flight guy, right? So is Severino, when he's going better in the 5th at that point with 100 pitches, better than the guy you're going to bring in? I think it's a very good argument to say yes and try to get him to that inning, because it's Severino and because we've seen that before.
Go ahead, Logan.
Yeah, no, it was Marinaccio. And I do remember saying, like, because I said the same thing, and then I was like, ooh, he's going to Marinaccio, and I believe he gave up a hit to a lefty, right? His last hit was given up that tied that last run was to a lefty.
To Severino's
Yeah.
that gave up Luis.
Right here.
Yeah, it was Guillorme.
It was, yeah. So because obviously I know that the Yankees like it, and obviously you like it, Marinaccio, the matchup against the lefty with the changeup. Yeah. So in the moment I was like, you got to start to just let these guys do things like that, because we can't. Every game is, it's the 4th inning, and
especially a guy who's got a track record for doing
right.
that. In a start that wasn't his best. I mean, he's done it time and time again, where he comes out flat for the first 2, sometimes 3 innings, and then all of a sudden he finds it, and you look up and it's the 6th inning, and Severino's still pitching.
Yep. And they won the game anyway, so I guess you can say no harm, no foul. But at the same time, you're in a back and forth. You just come back from a big deficit in that game, and that is a high leverage moment, even though it's only the 5th inning. I don't think Severino, especially how he's gone, which is now 3 bad starts in a row, even if he, quote, found something in the 3rd and 4th innings, I don't know. I'm in the moment, I was like, tying run on second base, pull him.
I mean, yeah, I get it too. The other piece of it is he gets through that. There's a little momentum for him,
But he's not coming back out for the next inning.
No, right. He's finishing his start.
There's momentum for the next start.
Yeah, just a little bit of a psyche thing. It's all bullshit, though.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the bullpen has been getting taxed even with the off days, and it's like I go to the last thing we talked about last episode. What would you rather have, 6 innings, 2 runs, or 7 innings, 3 runs? Almost kind of what Cole did there. He pitched 6 innings last night. Would have been great if he could get into that 7th inning. He had 95 pitches. But yeah, it's like Cole should be your guy that can go 7 innings, 100 pitches. But he seems to be going 6 innings, 100 pitches. And he pitched great. Him and Verlander, that was a fun-ass pitching duel.
It was a good pitching duel. I thought he pitched really well. He looked like he was in command. Obviously, he had no hit through the 5th.
First hit and run came off of him in the 5th inning. Yeah. But he had 95 pitches through 6 innings.
Yeah. I mean, even at 95 with Cole, see, I'm still trying him back out there with the way that he was still throwing the ball really well. And
because you had a 3-1 lead. Because the Yankees just took the... Wait, no. Yeah. Because the Yankees took the lead in the 7th inning.
The lead.
Yeah.
I would absolutely have tried Cole back out there, because at that point, again, you're looking at, this is that old adage of who was it we were just talking about this? Am I better than
Sabathia?
Sabathia, right? Thank you. Yeah,
Cordero
was
came
talking,
in.
he was talking about it on this show actually in this about the you come out and get me in the 6th, inning, and you're bringing in who? You think he's better than me at 95, 100 pitches? No. When you're a top flight elite guy like that, you have the mentality that you're going 115, into 120 if needed, but 115. He definitely had another inning in him.
Who was coming up, Logan, in that 7th for the Mets?
I don't think it matters.
You're muted, Logan.
Yeah, I don't think it matters who was coming up anyway. Like it could have been. I don't know that with.
I don't know that with Cole. It matters a whole hell of a lot.
So for the 7th inning, it was Alvarez, Beatty, and Pham. So that was 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, 100%. I'm taking Cole. I'm bringing Cole back out.
And that he also brought in Cordero. Right? That would have been the 3rd time he's facing those hitters.
Yeah, but he already faced the middle of the lineup for the third time.
Yeah.
And he got through it.
So,
he got through it.
So do you think Cole is the type of pitcher to be honest with his manager, that if Boone maybe came up to him in the middle of that inning and said, "Do you got another inning out of you?" Do you think Cole would say no?
No, I don't think Cole would ever say no. I don't. Because I don't believe that he believes that. That's the difference. You're saying to be honest with him. No, I don't think he believes that. If he's gassed at 95, we got bigger problems than that.
What if he was feeling gassed
at 95?
Yeah, what if he was feeling gassed at 95 pitches?
I don't believe that he was.
There was a lot of high leverage pitches, and I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying what if, because
I'm saying I don't believe that he was. I don't believe that he was gassed. To me, he didn't look gassed. There were plenty of opportunities, and it still looked like he had good luck. I know they did made some good contact on him, but again, you're looking at who you're bringing in. You have to consider that. You have to consider who's coming in as compared to Garrett Cole at 95 pitches. 95 pitches means nothing to me with Garrett Cole.
It shouldn't.
It should not.
It means something for the Yankees.
Well, it shouldn't. It shouldn't for the Yankees either.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pitchers like David Cohn famously threw 140 something pitches in a playoff game. If he had 240 something pitches, he still would have told Buck Showalter, "I'm staying in this game."
These guys are conditioned to throw these pitches. It's the injuries tend to happen on usually not because they're throwing additional pitches. They're stretched out for this. Their bodies are used to this. They're ready.
There's a certain breaking point, because I think Cohn's
injury
happened because of all those pitches.
95 pitches is not a lot.
Yeah, 95 pitches, 105. Like if you throw 95 pitches versus 105 pitches, it's no difference.
Right. And yeah, you're getting that rest in between innings. Like you're bring it back out.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was definitely a disappointing loss because of the way Cole was pitching, and just like how many opportunities that the Yankees had. Anything else from the two games? We're gonna obviously do some analysis on Severino and also Volpe's stance change, but I feel like there was something I didn't mention from Tuesday.
Yeah, IKF stole home again. We can talk about that if you want to.
We already talked about it.
Oh,
you want to talk about it? Best utility player ever.
No, I want you to make a comment.
I think he's a great utility player.
A great utility player.
Great utility player. He can run the bases well. Clearly,
yes.
His head is on fire. Good defense in the outfield.
He's become a damn good outfielder too.
He's a fine outfielder. He's a better outfielder than he is an infielder.
I'm drawing a blank on the guy who used to play for Tampa, then was on the Cubs, the super utility Zobrist. Ben Zobrist. Is he the modern? Is he today's version of Ben Zobrist?
He's faster than Ben Zobrist. He's a better base runner than best.
He's the modern day Tyler Wade, is what he really is.
Okay, no,
he's exactly what I wanted Tyler Wade to be.
Yes, exactly. He's exactly what you want Tyler Wade to be. He could hit more than Tyler Wade.
He can definitely hit more than Tyler Wade.
Has Tyler Wade ever stolen home?
No.
He was an automatic stolen base.
In his head, like a whole lot of times.
in his head,
he's had.
Well, do you know what the problem?
Moments.
Do you know what the problem for Tyler Wade stealing home was? He was barely ever on third base.
Yeah, you have to get to third base.
He just
first.
pinch ran a whole bunch.
Still never got on third base.
I think these rule changes and the way that the game is played now really do play well to the way that IKF plays because of his instincts. The base paths are good. Like again, he's not. I think when we looked this up, when we were looking up what Volpe was compared to the pack as far as speed, IKF's middle of the pack, but his instincts are good. That first step.
Yeah,
is
what's
good.
his sprint speed?
It was like a 6 out of 10. It was something like that.
IKF sprint speed is, I'm guessing, 73rd percentile. That's my guess.
We looked this up
guess?
Last time, and it was in the 60s.
Okay.
It is in the 63rd percentile.
Okay.
Outfielders jump, 97th percentile.
Wow, look at that! I'm telling you, that first step,
that's above average,
and
90.
that's why sprint speed doesn't matter as much.
That's pretty amazing. The fact that he's ranking that high on outfield outs above average and jump speed for as an outfielder, when this guy was a catcher and then an infielder, and then it's like,
all of this makes sense. He's a Gold Glove third baseman. What's the most important step in when you're playing third base? It's your first step. It's a lot of instincts. It's a lot of quick reflex, twitchy shit when you're looking at your footwork, and that's why he was so good. Same thing with the catcher. It's the ability to move and quickly position yourself when a ball is coming at you in a different place. The guy has that twitchiness in his first step, and every good base runner has that, because if you can get a first step and you're already, a step ahead of a guy that can, this is exactly why Brett Gardner was not a good base runner. He did not have that first step. He did not have that.
He was not a good base stealer. He was a good base runner.
But he was able to, well, yes, because he was able to catch up for it. He was able to make up for that first step with his straight line speed. He had elite straight line speed, so he was able to make up for it.
Yeah. He was a bad base stealer, but he could go first to third, no problem.
Yeah, oh, easy, because that's sprinting. That's sprinting, and he can make up for it.
It's
especially
not
over
just
that much
sprinting,
time.
because you have to know, okay, that ball's going to be in the gap, or that ball's going to be straight at the outfield.
That's instincts. That's instincts on
but
how you're.
Isn't also stealing a base instincts? Like,
it is, but it's that first. It's that twitch in your first step. It's the ability to get out of your crouch and go towards your target faster than somebody else. And I don't think he had that. He was slow on the jump.
Two other things I wanted to mention from Tuesday's game. Number one, DJ home run. Good sign. We just did the eye test versus nerd test.
Where was the home run?
Oppo.
No.
It wasn't?
It was in left field. He pulled it.
Wait. Yeah, you're right.
I'm just saying, it's a footnote. A footnote. I want to start seeing more of that opposite field power from him.
A footnote, was that a pun on his toe?
It wasn't on purpose, but it was pretty good.
And the second thing is Clay Holmes has been really, really good.
Yeah.
1 run over his past 19 appearances, striking out over a hitter per 9 innings.
Is it a coincidence that Abreu also being good, shadowing this, the two-seamer, quote, it's a two-seamer. Can we stop calling it a sinker? It's a two-seamer. It doesn't have a lot of vertical movement.
It's a reverse sweeper.
It's a goddamn two-seamer. It's a beautiful two-seamer at that, and which makes sense on why the velocity is there. So can we just call it a two-seamer, please? Abreu and Clay Holmes kind of becoming the same guy, which I like. A little competition there.
Baby Holmes.
Baby Holmes. Sure.
Is it like when Robertson developed the cutter sitting next to Mariano Rivera for 6 years?
It is similar to that. It is similar to that.
We saw D-Rob again this week.
We did.
Still going.
It's good to see him.
When is he going to stop pitching?
When his arm falls off. When someone stops giving him money.
Go ahead.
Also, it was noted that Boone said for last night's game that King wasn't available, obviously, because they don't use him on back-to-back days, but also Holmes and Peralta weren't available for workload management.
Okay, even more of a reason
2 days off this week. 2 days off this week.
But and Monday off next week after the Boston series. Even more of a reason
to stay with Cole.
Thank you. If your bullpen's short down the big guys, you definitely send Cole back out there, assuming he didn't tell you I'm gassed.
All of these things just lead to exactly why the frustration with Boone is so freaking high. When you're bringing in Cordero as the guy to come in, if you had Holmes and you had King and you had Marinaccio, even Marinaccio,
if he goes to King in that spot in the seventh inning,
you have the ability. Do you have the ability that he would have taken him out a pitch before or an out before in the inning before that if he was going to do that? But if you have your elite guys, then it still doesn't make sense to me because you still have 95 pitches because then you just use your elite guys in the 8th and 9th or come in the 7th if you need to. But yeah, you go to Cordero and then to me it's like, what are we doing here? Are we watching the same game? Are we watching the same sport?
I was listening to John Sterling, and he made a joke about that. He goes, "Oh, I forget who Boone was taking out," and he's like, "Oh, Boone knows there's 2 outs, so he's got to make a pitching change."
Yeah.
It's like,
by the way, the last episode we totally forgot to hit on the fact that John Sterling got tagged by that baseball.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that.
No, we didn't. We talked about it beforehand, and then for whatever reason,
Logan, do not laugh at a man who can barely see a baseball coming at him.
What do you mean? It was so professional. Did you hear? He didn't. Even,
yes,
he continued calling. He didn't even stop.
So there's a couple things that we got to talk about this quickly because I need to get my thoughts out. The fact that after I saw the video, that ball hit him. That ball hit him in the head. It ricocheted and hit him in the head. But every other person in the face of this planet would have been fish. There would have been expletive, running through, and he's just like, "Ow, ow,
it hit me,
ow,
ow."
Yeah, it was like such an old school way of getting hit by a baseball and reacting to it. That you would have heard the same exact reaction to a guy that was calling a game in 1953.
Well, Susan was already out of the booth because it was the last inning, and so she wasn't.
She would have unleashed expletives. She would have been F this, F that. Yeah, Susan Waldman would have unleashed it.
But I think she would have also recognized that ball's coming straight for us and given John a little tap. Hey, maybe duck.
Oh my God! It's coming!
Oh my goodness gracious! The ball's coming right at us, John. All right, we're going to do eye test versus nerd test for Luis Severino. It is brought to you by Oakley. There is more than meets the eye with Oakley sunglasses, thanks to their amazing prism technology, which makes everything pop. Just simply put, everything pops when you put those shades on. Luis Severino, first 2 starts back this season, 11 and a third innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 1.59 ERA, a 1.28 batting average allowed, a 4.40 OPS, and only 1 home run allowed to Cincinnati and San Diego. His last 3 starts versus the Dodgers, White Sox, and Mets, 13 and 2/3 innings, 22 hits. 22 hits in 13 innings. 16 earned runs, 6 walks, 12 Ks, a 10.54 ERA, a 3.49 batting average, and over an 1,100 OPS and 7 home runs allowed. Very clearly good in his first 2, very clearly bad in his last 3, even if Boone thinks he found something in the 4th inning. I was looking in depth at his pitch usage and stuff like that. In his first 2 starts, he was using the fastball 56% of the time. In his last 3 starts, 46% of the time. And I'm wondering if that decrease in fastball usage is mainly because he's getting hit so hard off of his fastball. Because in his first 2 starts, a 118 slugging against the fastball. And in his last 3 starts, over 1,000 slugging against the fastball. So if he's using the fastball and he's seeing all these things getting crushed, maybe let's try and pitch, use some other pitches. So his slider usage has gone up 6%. And his changeup usage has gone up 3%. And he's also mixed in a cutter in his last 3 starts. But he's not getting as many swings and misses. He is, but like Cohn said on the broadcast on the Mets game, he said that his off-speed stuff was not crisp. And so your fastball is getting hit. The off-speed stuff's not crisp. So it's been a stark difference. After the game, he was asked about it. He just said, "I need to be better." Basically, the team needs me to be better. It's like, yeah, what are you going to say? Before we talk about maybe some graphics we have here that were going around Twitter of his mechanics, anything you want to touch on from those numbers?
Obviously the hits are up. When I was looking back at his baseball reference page too, and seeing, I was actually surprised. Even when in 17 and 18, when he was really, really good, he was still giving up. I think it was like 7 or 8 hits, or 8 or 9 hits. It was a good amount of hits per game, even when he was dominant. So he does get contact even when he's good. So that was interesting to me. This is one of those things where we're looking at these graphics, and we'll talk about that in a second here. But I think for next week, I definitely want to do a much deeper dive on how he's looked in specifically 17 and 18, because, and I know that was a long time ago, but when you think about it in baseball years for him, the amount of starts that it's actually not been that long, because he's been on the injured list for so long. And look to see if I can't find anything, or if we can't find anything different in there, because there's some of the images that are going around. they show certain things, but I don't think they're definitive.
You're gonna have to do that without me, so I'm not gonna be here next week. But
you're gonna have a baby. I'm gonna review Luis Severino tape.
So the potential changes.
Leanne's gonna have a baby. Let me clarify that.
So some things. So there's the graphic that was going around was last season versus his start on Tuesday against the Mets. And last season, he appears to be lower in his windup, meaning he's more crouched. His right knee is bent more, and he's more upright this year in his delivery. The thing is, though, when, as Scott mentioned, when you compare his delivery from years prior, last year, and then also 17-18, when he was a really good pitcher, it more resembles his mechanics from this year. And there's a lot of things that can go into this. It's like, when was the screenshot taken? Where was the center field camera positioned? Because all of those things can factor in here. Specifically on the graphic that I think we're going to throw on. So if you want to, check it out on YouTube to reference the one we're talking about here. I think it looks like he's pitching in Tampa on last year, and that has a more directly behind the pitcher center field camera angle.
It's lower. It's a lower angle. Yeah.
And then Citi Field has slightly off center towards Severino's right is where the camera is at Citi Field. That can also impact how, just optically, how things are looking. We're not saying one way or the other. Mechanics are different. Injuries, for all the injuries he's had, groin issue last year, oblique issue this year. He, you name it, Severino has dealt with this injury. This could all be a factor in how his, mechanics are. He's also had issues of pitch tipping in the past. So there's
a lot of things to consider with that. Yeah.
I talked about after the game against the Dodgers, I was like, they were swinging like they knew what pitch was coming. That's how much they were squaring up Severino. Based on the pitch he's throwing, does his delivery slightly change? Is he lower or higher in his windup? And then that could be a tell to the hitter. So there's a million different things here.
There are a million different things. So what I'd like to look at as well is that when he's throwing different pitches, I want to look at the different angles. I want to look at the different how he's getting low in his crouch, because what it does look, and again, it's the actual image, I think is taken from a lower angle, which could give the deception of being lower in your crouch. But I do see a different angle in the shoulders, and it looks like he's more cocked back. And
which one are you
launching.
saying is a lower angle? The one from this year, right?
The one that's marked up on the left.
No, that's a higher angle. That's directly behind Severino, or almost directly behind Severino. So that's a slightly higher camera angle. I mean, just look at the hitter. You can only see the waist down, whereas on the right-hand side, you can see
which means the camera itself is lower, is my point. The positioning of the camera is higher or lower. That, to me, that camera looks like it's lower, so that you're getting more of a straight-on look rather than an aerial look, which gives
I don't
you
know,
a different look.
Maybe I misunderstood what you meant by lower. I feel like it's pointed the camera is pointed down more on the left-hand side. Yeah,
well, either way, it doesn't matter. It's a different angle. Whatever it is, it's a different angle, and it looks to me like there's a bit of a he's got definitely a more crouch. He looks like he's launching, right? So he's got a different angle coming to home plate. Whereas if you look on the right side and you go back to 17, his posture is definitely different. You can even tell in like the way his shoulders look compared to where the hat is hitting and the neck is hitting. His shoulders are different on the picture on the left. So when in 17-18, he's got really good posture. He's not getting as low, and he looks like he's more closed off as a pitcher. Again, I want to look at more film and more screenshots as we're going, and I want to see the differences on the different pitches as well. But there's definitely some differences. I'm not ready to say that that's why this is happening, because when you have a groin injury, when you have an oblique injury, when you have middle of the body injuries too, it can certainly affect your flexibility. And as a pitcher, if you're less flexible, it's going to affect your windup 100%. So I think that there's a lot of things going on with him, and and they need to figure out why, but also not get too crazy and simplify. Because I could see Severino look, hey, this is off, this is off, this is off. It's almost like they need to simplify it, getting it back. And I think one of those first things is locating that fastball. The fastball usage is alarming to me. And same thing with Cole. Severino's fastball is dynamic. It's got good late movement. It pops out of his hand. And if he's not throwing it as much, it means he doesn't have the confidence. He's not able to locate it. There's a reason why he's not doing that. And to me, that completely affects everything else. And if Cohn's in the booth saying that his off-speed stuff is not as crisp as well, that's just a number two of why he's probably not being successful. Fastball's not going where he wants to, so he's abandoning the fastball and then going to a lesser pitch that's not performing as well. So there's a number of things wrong there. And what it boils down to, that's what I want to get to the bottom of and identify. Is it mechanical? Does his body look and feel different when he's throwing the ball? Because a lot of those things will obviously affect where the pitch goes.
Yeah, no Christmas.
Right.
Thank you so much to Oakley for sponsoring this eye test versus nerd test. Again, go to oakley.com for more info and to find out about their prism technology, or just get a pair of sunglasses for yourself, whether you golf, play baseball, want to go to the beach, running, or just everyday use. Thank you to Oakley. Last thing on Severino. On the broadcast.
And Volpe too, don't forget. I want to make sure
we're going to do Volpe.
Okay.
Kay said that Severino was pushing the Yankees to have him return to the majors. Do you think him struggling means he should have done more rehab in the minors, or it's just because he pitched well in his first two outings and he's clearly built up enough, like all that they did the right thing and bringing him back when they did?
Yeah, so I think that if he's pushing them back, he obviously wants to get back, but if they are listening to him, they believe that as far as his health and his strength and all of those things are in a good spot to come back, because they wouldn't bring him back if he was physically not ready for it, right? It's more about, are you ready mechanically? Are you ready, to go out there and compete? And so if he's still cleaning things up on the major league level, then, you look at the alternatives and they're not great. So I don't hate it with a guy like Severino as much. Obviously, it's not working though. So Monday morning quarterback, yeah, he should be working that shit out in the minors.
And if you hear tapping in the background, you're not going crazy. There's people upstairs doing some work, and there's a lot of banging going on. Hopefully, it's not too noticeable. You mentioned Volpe. He showed up on Tuesday with a more closed batting stance, and everyone was like, "Oh, couple doubles, couple line drives. He's fixed. What's going on here?"
Middle of the field approach.
Apparently, he was hanging out with his buddy, Austin Wells. They were eating some chicken parm and some gabagool, looking at some tape, and boom, they noticed, hey, your stance has changed. Ababoa. And that's what happened. No Yankees coaches, no one in the minors who was looking at anything was like, you know what, his mechanics at the plate look a little bit different. His stance is a little bit more open. Maybe we should change that, move him closer to the plate. None of that happened.
Yeah, well, there's a couple things here. I mean, yes, you should be. If that is the first time that is discussed, the first time it's being identified, then that's bad. That's a bad thing. On how many hitting coaches do we have now? 19 hitting coaches. So the fact that they're not picking this stuff up and at least discussing it is, I don't know. What are you doing then? Literally, what are you doing? What are you looking at if you're not seeing those things? If it's a discussion that he had with Austin Wells, who's just a former teammate, a guy that is calling stuff out for him, a buddy trying to help out his pal, like, hey, you might be a little bit more closed. When I see Volpe still up there, yes, he's closed. He looked more comfortable. Even if you look at the last two at-bats that he had, he's still, that first step is still going towards, it's drifting towards third base a little bit. So I think he's still flying open. He got exposed on a breaking pitch on the outside of the plate. For that strike. It was a bad at bat with it was in extras, I think. When he was up, it was a bad at bat, and he got exposed on the outside of the plate badly. And you could just see his hips were flying open. And yes, his stance was more closed. But if that first step is drifting towards third and your hips are flying open early, then you have no chance at that off-speed pitch on the outside corner. And that's where they've been just demolishing him. He's got to prove the fact that he can still get to that outside pitch and take it the other way and stay closed. We were having this discussion in chat. I think the hardest thing for a young player who comes up and does have a naturally closed stance is the confidence level for them to be able to turn on an inside fastball. And if they start getting away from the confidence that they can get their hands in through the zone without moving their their lower body as much, because that's exactly what you have to do. If they start getting a little mental and saying, hey, I gotta cheat out a little bit, cheat my hips out so that I can get on the inside fastball, then you're exposed on the outside of the plate immediately. And I guarantee that's what they're looking at. They're looking at a guy who has developed, I think over the last month and a half, a tendency to drift towards third, to open those hips up a little bit, and that exposes you and leaves you open for pain on the outside of the plate.
And put aside the fact that he had a more closed stance in the minors, the fact that the current Yankees coaches could not have evaluated him at the major league level, seeing that he was flying open too much, and just tried to make an adjustment to close the stance, even if he never had that previously, is kind of bad.
Yeah, it's I was making light of this a little bit in our chat, because like this is the first thing you go to for a young guy who's struggling. A lot of times they will open up too early because they're trying to cheat for that inside fastball. They're trying to get the hands through, and then they get into some bad tendencies. So it's like number one, you go down the list, the number one before you even get to number two is stay closed and keep your hands in on your body. And so it's 101 as far as being a hitting coach. So yeah, the fact that they didn't even discuss it or bring it up is wild. Even if it's just a reminder, like they should be giving this guy gentle reminders. I understand that you don't want to give him too much information with a young guy to think too much, because he will. But this isn't that much. Like this, again, this is basic shit. Like just remind yourself, stay close. Like even if it's you give yourself some type of a trigger word, stay close, stay close, stay close. There are guys that say things to themselves over and over and over and over again. I have to do this in slow pitch softball because I fly open the entire time because it's painful to wait for the ball to come to me. I have to yell at myself in my head, stay close, wait until the ball travels so that I can actually hit the ball with some decent oomph. And
yeah, you're the same as a professional athlete.
Exactly the same as a professional athlete.
But like, okay, it's not the coaches. How about Giancarlo Stanton, veteran leader on the team,
who
had to
exaggerate
had to create this exaggerated close stance to remind himself to stay close. How about take the kid aside for a couple minutes and be like, hey, maybe this is something you want to keep in mind.
Where's Derek Jeter? Why can't Derek Jeter send him a text message? Jeter's can see that immediately.
I'm not putting
Jeter's identifying that immediately.
All I'm saying is it blows me away that all the teammates, all of the coaches, even minor league coaches couldn't have identified this before he was watching tape with Austin Wells and noticed this.
I just thought of the greatest idea in the face of the planet. Common sense department. Here we go. We need to fire the hitting coaches. Get rid of them. Fat boy, bye. Okay. And we need to go and steal Cameron Maybin from the Cubs booth and bring him on. We got hug season back. Vibes are great in the dugout, and everybody has a middle of the field approach. This is how you fix runners in scoring position percentage. This is how you fix any issue at all in the dugout forever in the clubhouse. You have Cameron Maybin there just being the greatest teammate on the face of the planet. And he's just going to remind you every day to stay close and drive the ball in the middle of the field. And that's a very good thing for this team.
What percentage of fixes do you think can be solved by middle of the field approach by hitting coach? Is it 50% of problems? Just all they say is, middle of the field approach, stay close, stay square through the ball, try and hit the ball back up the middle.
I think it's higher than that.
More than 50%.
It's so, baseball can get so complicated, but it's so simple at the end of the day. And it's a matter of just like, and it's probably like this with all sports, but baseball, because there's just so many movements and so many things that can affect what you do when a guy's throwing you, a ball 100 miles per hour, is staying to the basics, drilling the basics. We made fun of the fact that Boone and those guys weren't doing those drills, like the pitcher, fielding a bunt, screwing the ball in and throwing it to first base, actually picking the ball up first, making sure you're picking the ball up first and then throwing it to first. Like those basic things are valid forever. I don't care if you're
are you talking about like
a professional baseball player?
The pitcher's fielding practice where there wouldn't be a ball, they would just do it like an imaginary thing.
Yes.
Yeah. How is that beneficial when you're already at the major league level? How is that benefiting you? You're literally going through the motions and that is it.
Just include the ball.
Have a guy there, roll the ball out. Just roll the ball out, Pick it up. You don't even have to throw hard over to first base. Pick it up, get the clean transfer, lob it over to first base.
Yep. Feel the depth in that squat. Get down, get low. It's
okay,
like
so now the common sense department has expanded to make sure the guy is not a poopy pants when you acquire him. How about if he has a massive injury history, think twice about acquiring that player.
Right.
Use the baseball when you're practicing baseball.
Yeah, and middle of the field approach.
Middle of the field approach.
Cam Maben.
So we've got some quotes from Hal Steinbrenner.
Cam Maben would love to be a coach in that clubhouse. You know he would.
Yeah, being in the booth though is just so much easier.
Yeah, but it's not as much fun.
I think it is.
Way more criticism. You expose yourself to way more bullshit that you don't want to hear about. You're in the clubhouse. You're practically one of the guys.
It's different kind of criticism.
You can say the same thing over and over and over again, and no one will kill you for it because that's what coaches do. You know?
Right. All right. Well, we're going to talk about the Hal Steinbrenner quote, specifically about Volpe and Judge. But before that, I want to tell you guys, if you are buying tickets for an upcoming game, maybe you're going to be at the Yankees-Red Sox game up at Fenway, or the Yankees are coming back home after that for Seattle and Texas. Use Game Time. The app has a ton of cool features and is easy to use. It shows you the trending tickets, what sections the best deals are in, and it calls out the cheapest options and flash deals, which I really appreciate when I'm just browsing the app, just so you can get a gauge on which ticket is going to be the best bang for your buck, so you can make an informed purchase. There's also event cancellation protection, so you can buy with confidence. It is very easy to use. You get images of your seats before you buy, so you know what to expect. The buying process is fast. It's just 2 taps and you're done. And the tickets get sent directly to your phone, so you don't have to dig through your emails to find them. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, create an account, use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase on Game Time. Thank you so much to Game Time for sponsoring us. They're going to be with us all the way through the baseball season. So if you're going to anything, they don't just have sporting events. They also have concerts, comedy, theater. There's a ton of good events on Game Time. Hal said on Anthony Volpe, I told Anthony at the end of spring training, you are the starting shortstop of the New York Yankees. This isn't a 3-week trial. So he's going to be that through the ups and downs. Does that quote mean they are never sending him down this year?
Yeah, ever. That's exactly what that says. It also says that Hal Steinbrenner is making that decision and nobody else. That one. I mean, Hal says when Hal speaks to the public here and talking about these things, specifically baseball things. I mean, that's a pretty pointed statement. I told Anthony at the end of spring training, you are the starting. So yes, I think it is. I think that is exactly what that says. And I
agree. I'm not making light of this. I read that statement. I was like, oh, they're not sending him down this year.
Yeah, no, it makes, I like that. It's definitive. You have the rope. I mean, granted, I think that everybody has a breaking point. But clearly the leash for him is extremely long.
Well, last episode we said how much leash is left because the guy's been struggling for well over a month at this point, and you've got a guy in AAA who is hitting, you could call up and play, or you've got other pieces on the roster you could fill in at shortstop. And we're just like, yeah, maybe it's a couple more weeks of if this continues, they would send him down. But now I think there's a lot of leash left. This is one of those 50-foot leash dogs. You can just let your dog run around the entire backyard.
Yeah, so we did that with Maddie, named after Mattingly, and constantly getting stuck and caught up on things. Like, I mean, you'd think she'd learn, but she wraps herself around a tree, around a bush, around everything. And you could possibly,
she's a dog.
There's a good amount of room there. You'd think that you'd know, like, if I go around that tree, I'm going to get caught and I can't get back to where I want to. But every day, when you have that longer leash, you can definitely get yourself caught up. Look, I'm glad that this is happening because I think for a young guy, knowing this, it gives you another level of confidence, knowing that you can struggle, but also allowed to correct it. And everything that we've seen from him on different levels, I've made this comparison in the past to the way that Judge struggled every level he came up and then fixed it. And obviously we see what we see. Volpe's done the same thing in the minor leagues. He has struggled as he's come up and been able to fix it. So giving him this leash and the confidence that you're the guy, I think says a lot. It really does. And also maybe this is Hal getting in front of, hey, Peraza's not coming up. and it will be available at the deadline, which I do think helps the Yankees.
Yeah, no, that could be it as well. Yeah, Hal doesn't speak a lot, but when he does, you got to take it seriously with what he says. I mean, some of the stuff is annoying, but like also on Judge, he said the injury is uncommon with few baseball comparisons, and he hopes he'll be back before the All-Star break. And then Judge said that I saw an article, I think it was in the Daily News, that said he doesn't see a need for a timeline. And he said it's definitely concerning. I've talked to DJ a lot about how he felt. It's a different part of the toe, but it's still the big toe, which is where all of your force and power comes from. So that's why we're going to be smart with it and do what we need to do.
Yeah, this is very concerning. This is evolved to very, very concerning. He's talking to DJ about the big toe now too, and the fact that he's like, nah, we don't need to do timelines. Timelines, what are they? That's just an expectation that is. Our medical staff is completely dog shit. So why would you listen to them anyway? That's basically what that's saying. So yeah, this is a lot more concerning than even what I was expecting. So
every 2 days it gets more concerning. Like it started out as he'll probably be back for the Boston series, to like, yeah, maybe they'll give him a few extra days. Oh, this is getting a little weird. They're being very vague, to he's probably not going to be back until August 1st. So
this leads me to believe that there's like more tendon damage than we were led to believe, that this contusion is actually something. I mean, it could be a tear. I think a contusion at one point could be a tear. There's just like a sprain could be a tear. That becomes gray area where you're looking at. And if there's some kind of a tear or some kind of an issue that affects the structural integrity of the toe, and it's not the bone but everything around it, that's a problem, man. That's humbled a lot of people in different sports. So think back to like how many times we heard turf toe. I think Deion Sanders was like derailed from turf toe. Isn't that right? Wasn't Deion Sanders? There were like a lot of really good players.
You're just talking to someone off camera there.
Yeah, sorry. The guys in the room know football. That's why I'm asking. It did. Deion, like turf toe was a problem. And when you bang that toe, and if there's structural integrity problems with the tendon, like that's an issue. So I didn't think it was going to be that, but it does sound like that now.
Hal also said he's going to invoice the Dodgers for the games missed because their stupid ass stadium injured Aaron Judge.
That's a funny line. I hope he does send an invoice.
I would. I know it wouldn't be paid. It would just go unpaid. But I'd be like, you have a 6 inches of concrete for no freaking reason. Our right fielder literally ran through your outfield wall. Like, this is your fault.
Yeah.
You're paying for the time he's on the IL.
Yeah, that's an insurance. That's going to go to the courts. That's a battle. That's a battle that I'd like to. They should put that one on court TV. The Yankees versus the Dodgers lawsuit for missed time. Cost of opportunity cost for Aaron Judge being on the IL because of your stupid concrete wall.
And then he said that the veteran hitters need to step up in Judge's absence and basically just be better. And yeah, okay, the Yankees need to hit. Got it. Thanks, Hal. But at the same time, it is if your offensive success entirely depends on Aaron Judge, that's a poor roster construction. I understand your offense is not going to be as good without Aaron Judge. He's the best player on the planet. But if it's just completely crumbles without Aaron Judge, that's bad job, Brian Cashman.
I mean, at the end of the day, Giancarlo Stanton needs to be a bigger piece of this lineup. He needs to
Anthony Rizzo needs to start hitting. Gleyber Torres needs to start hitting like a more.
But the
like
one
he
guy
was
I'm looking at the most is Stanton. Stanton's got to be that thumper in the middle. He's got to provide the support for the other guys in the lineup. He's got to provide, because right now I don't think anybody's scared of Stanton. Like, I know he got a hold of one the other night, but I don't think anybody's scared of Stanton right now. He needs to go on a heater, and we'll see everybody else start hitting a little bit more accordingly if pitchers are now looking at him as actual Giancarlo Stanton. They're flashing these stats of like the most home runs against the Mets. I really don't give a shit about that stat.
We play the Mets 4 times a year.
That stat means absolutely nothing. It happened, 20 years ago when he played for the Marlins, when his name wasn't even Giancarlo. Like, none of this is relevant right now.
I told again, the guys I went to the game with, they didn't know he used to be Mike Stanton. They thought I was making that up. I was like, why would I make that up?
Yeah, no. Mike Stanton hit a lot of home runs against the Mets.
Little trivia about the Yankees offense. Can you guys tell me their team on base percentage this year?
Team on base percentage this year?
Team on base percentage.
318.
318. Scott?
306.
After last night, because I don't know how many base runners.
Oh, they did have a lot of traffic on the
I'll say
bases.
2.
I didn't factor that in.
It starts with a 2.
Oh,
I was going to go 2, and I was like,
2. It just barely. It technically rounds up to 300. It's 2,992.
Their team on base is under 300. What is league average on base?
I don't know.
Well, because the thing is, they were 1 for 15 with runners. They got a lot of guys on base last night.
They had 8 runners on base. They left 8 runners on base last night, but there was a lot of at bats going around and stuff. But
they also scored 3 runs. So
thinking about it, and it's like this was a team predicated on like everybody walked. Like it didn't matter if you were slow. It didn't matter what side of the plate.
Yeah,
you
that was
from. Didn't matter.
More so
anything.
a couple of years ago, though. But
no, 100%. But it was like everybody walked.
Well, think
regardless.
I mean,
it was bad as bad could be. They could.
Yep, their on base percentage was always good. Yeah, I'm curious what league average on base percentage is. Is the whole?
It had to have gone up this year across the league.
It's basically been going down every year. Maybe it's up this year.
I know, but the adjustments.
Oh, we also had first time I've seen this in a Yankees game. The call for the runner, the fielder on the wrong side of the bag last night.
Yeah, right.
Love it.
I mean, that he did. McNeil's foot was on the other side of the bag. It was. And the way that Cone said this, and I agree with Cone at the same time too. But, letter of the law, it's not in the spirit of the rule. It's to adjust the shifting. Like he was positioning himself for a tag.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
If you have 1 foot on the other side, you should be fine.
No, because then that's a gray area. What if you're behind? If you're straddling the bag?
Well, depth perception. Who's calling that play? Who's calling that? Because the home plate umpire called that. The guy standing literally 10 feet from him didn't see it when he was staring at him. Didn't see it.
I like that they're calling it. I like it.
Yeah, I don't mind. They're enforcing the rules. They need to, especially in the first season of the rule.
So I'm looking at the on base percentage leaderboard quick. So Baltimore ranks 15th. So with a 323. The Yankees are 28th at. We'll end it up to 300.
28th.
Trailing Detroit, Milwaukee, and Oakland.
Yikes.
And only better than the White Sox and the Royals.
That's really bad.
No way to sugarcoat that number.
That is really, really bad.
Okay, let's wrap on a positive note.
I got nothing for you. Sorry, because
got the Red Sox.
Okay, I got a positive note. He said that missing the playoffs wouldn't necessarily mean parting ways with Boone and or Cashman, but both will be evaluated at the end of the year. They might be fired if they miss the playoffs.
I mean, if you miss the playoffs in today's world where everybody makes the playoffs, then you should be fired.
You have to be.
Yeah, he should never have been extended.
Bader could be back for the Boston series is a positive note.
That is a positive note, even though IKF stud center fielder, stud left fielder, stud right fielder,
Bowers
is
playing well.
Yeah, Bowers has been playing well. Yeah, the guys who have been playing as replacement players have not been the problem. They really haven't. They've kept the team afloat.
It's Rizzo, Stanton, Glaber, DJ in the middle of the order have been non-existent.
Yeah, Pudge Calhoun, not the problem.
No, he's the number 3 hitter on certain nights. All right, that's going to wrap up the episode. Thanks again to Game Time, Oakley, AG1. If you're interested in any of those products, please go check them out. That supports us. Next episode, I think the plan is we're going to record.
We have to talk about this.
Sunday morning. We're talking about it right now. We're letting people behind the curtain.
Yeah. The Sunday morning thing we have to talk about a little bit, but at some point during the day, yes.
Oh, you can't do Sunday morning?
I don't know. There's a graduation now that I forgot about.
Kemp's
That's not
how
local.
old is he?
No, Kemp is not graduating.
Oh, it's like, what the hell? Is this a graduation on Father's Day?
It's on Saturday, but it's out of town.
Okay. You might be doing the whole episode without me.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yes, but you're having you and Leanne are having a baby.
There'll be a baby. So I would say I potentially will be on the next episode. But if I'm not, the next episode after that, I might be on. But definitely the one after that, I'll be on. I don't know.
Cool. So nobody has any idea. Neither do we.
No idea. We'll talk. Scott will definitely talk to you guys.
One of us will talk to you at some point in the
then.
near future.
I'll talk to you guys whenever. Bye-bye.